Hello, good afternoon. My name is Josh, and I'm with Ripple Planet. I just created this channel to discuss some of the recent news, discussion, and hopefully we're going to get some guests on this channel to discuss what's happening uh, in the world of Ripple. Now, first of all, I want to say that I'm not affiliated with Ripple Labs. Ripple Labs and Ripple Protocol are two different things. Ripple Labs created and manages the protocol, but the protocol is actually open source, which means that anyone can modify it or fork it or do whatever they want with it. In this case, I'll be discussing it. With that said, um, what we're going to be discussing today is just a basic overview on some of the market activity that's been going on. Over the past few weeks, it's been somewhat of a meteoric rise in the price of XRP. And a lot of people have been saying that it's a pump and dump. Lots of people are saying that it's being artificially inflated, or that there's some underlying fraudulent reasons for this rise in the price. However, most of the people who are saying that aren't actually looking into the protocol and looking into the recent events that have been happening in the industry. And I'm of a belief that it isn't a pump and dump, and that it isn't a scam, and that Ripple is indeed on the rise. And it appears that Ripple has actually been awarded the chosen protocol status. The reason I would say this is Bitcoin has been around. Well, actually, Ripple was initially founded in 2004, but as a digital currency and as a viable digital currency, it's only been around for, let's say, under 2 years. Bitcoin is far older than that, far more mature. And Bitcoin was really the first iteration of digital currency. It really introduced the world and the masses to what digital currency is and what it can do. And now people are changing their expectation level. People are expecting more from their banks. They're expecting more from their money. So it's actually led to some competition in the cryptocurrency world. And actually, Ripple started getting steam about, let's say, about 8 months or so ago. And since then, they've been signing on some banks. The first bank was the German bank Fedor, and then they've partnered with a few more banks, a few more banks, local banks in the U.S. as well. And slowly but surely, they're actually picking up steam and picking up momentum. See, the thing about Bitcoin is that people don't understand it. It's scary to them. It can't be controlled. It's always had this bad kind of market rep. Everybody, when you hear about Bitcoin, you think about drugs, you think about illegal activities, you think about possible money laundering, and so forth. Ripple actually isn't affected by these stereotypes. The reason why is because even though they have a native currency called XRP, the Ripple protocol is a currency agnostic protocol, which means that using Ripple, you can transact in Bitcoins, you can transact in Litecoins, you can transact in US dollars, you can transact in Canadian dollars. So the Ripple protocol it's actually, comparing Ripple to Bitcoin isn't necessarily a good comparison. In a way, you could say that Bitcoin is selfish. Bitcoin wants to be the one. Bitcoin wants to be the currency. It wants everyone to transfer over to Bitcoin, and it wants everyone to get excited about Bitcoin. Ripple doesn't really care. You could like euros. You could like yen. You could like Bitcoin. Whatever you like, just keep doing what you're doing. Ripple doesn't really care about, per se, what currency you are using. So this is why it's being readily adopted by the banks. This is why the industry is transforming, and people are starting to use Ripple. Bitcoin has always struggled with this, this whole, chicken and egg syndrome. Like, merchants don't want to adopt Bitcoin because there's not a lot of people using Bitcoin, and people don't want to start using Bitcoin because there's not a lot of merchants that can actually accept their Bitcoin. So, I mean, it's always a case of, are you accepting Bitcoin? Do you accept Bitcoin? With Ripple, the protocol doesn't care if you accept Bitcoin, if you accept Ripple. See, Ripple does have its own internal protocol currency, and that is called XRP. And XRP has some unique features, but it's not necessary to use XRP to use the Ripple protocol. XRP is the only currency within the Ripple protocol that doesn't have any counterparty risk, which means that, similar to Bitcoins, when you own Bitcoins, you have the wallet address, you have those Bitcoins, you own those Bitcoins. The same would be said with XRP Ripple. With XRP, when you have those XRPs, there's no counterparty risk. When you have other currencies in your wallet, such as Bitcoin or US dollars, there's always a counterparty risk because there's always someone holding those funds for you, and there's always a risk of them closing down or going out of business, or in worst case scenarios, defrauding people. So there is lots of advantages in holding XRP. However, it's not necessary. But when banks and large institutions start coming online, they're going to realize that, yeah, it does make more sense to hold our XRP because it's a counterparty-free asset. It can travel smoothly within the network. You can basically interact with more people. You can basically open your offering to a wider audience. So it does make sense in that case to hold XRP. Yeah, so the next thing I wanted to go over is in regards to the lots of Bitcoin people who are into Bitcoin or like Bitcoin pretty much say the same thing about Ripple, and that's it's centralized. They're greedy. People are managing it. They're making so much money off it. It's not free. It needs to be open to the public. And this whole thing about centralization is a little bit funny, especially when it's coming from people in the Bitcoin camp, because even though Bitcoin theoretically is decentralized, when you look at it in all actuality, it's centralized to a few different miners. We're talking maybe a maximum of 5 miners that are controlling the whole network. Ripple has something called trusted nodes, and they have a few hundred trusted nodes, and each node is responsible for confirming a transaction during the process that they use. So in that case, Ripple is actually more decentralized than Bitcoin in that manner, because there's more redundancy in place, and there's not it's not controlled by mining pools. So those are some of the main benefits. So we're also gonna be doing some more videos. This is the first video. Give us your feedback. If you have any questions you want us to cover in the next video, if you have any suggestions, please let us know. Thanks so much for tuning in.